So, good afternoon. We apologize to interrupt your lunch, but please continue to eat while we speak. When I was 7 years old, my father asked me, "What would you like to do when you grow up?" And my reply was, "I would like to be a pitcher for the LA Dodgers." And he said, "Baseball? What does baseball contribute to society? How does it make the lives of people richer?" And that was not a question I could answer. So I thought about it a little bit more, and I thought that if I became governor of the state of California, I could contribute to the welfare of the citizens of the state of California. I've always been impressed by the role that governors play in their states and in Japan and the prefectures. A lot of basic social activities and political are presided over by state governments and by governors. So, for example, social services, law enforcement, education in the case of the United States, many of these fundamental areas are really presided over by governors. So in the case of Japan, we have a number of bright and capable international leaders. And unfortunately, in Japan, you don't have the same political system as you do in the United States, where governors very often become presidents. In the Republican Party, Governor Reagan of California became president. In the Democratic Party, Governor Clinton from Arkansas became president. I would love to see one of these three or all three of these become Prime Minister of Japan, but it's not an easy transition to make. We have three of the smartest and most energetic political leaders in Japan, governors, sitting here at the table. And two of them, Governor Yuzaki from Hiroshima, Governor Ibaragi from Okayama, are Stanford Business School graduates. It's extraordinary. They were classmates in the same class at Stanford, class of 1995. 95, class of 1995. Extraordinary. Two Japanese governors from one class in the business school. And then Governor Kawakatsu got his Ph.D. at Oxford in political science.
Oh, economic history.
In what?
Economic history.
Oh, I'm sorry, in economic history. And so we really have advanced degrees from premier Western universities represented. So I wanted to ask the governors if they would talk a little bit about their roles in their respective prefectures and helping to revitalize the economy. As you know, in Japan, the prefectures and the nation as a whole are fighting against the undertow of an aging and shrinking population. That's an incredible, powerful force. So for the prefectures in particular, it's really critical that they come up with ways of revitalizing their local economies and societies. So let me go in this order with Governor Yuzaki first, talking to maybe 7 or 8 minutes each about their agenda for revitalizing the prefectures.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Professor Okimoto, for a very kind introduction. I think it was a little bit too much for us. I never thought of, I never thought I would be a governor when I was a small child. I wanted to be an astronaut, but because I was a student of him, he made me a governor program. He taught me to be a governor.
My apologies.
I wanted to congratulate on U.S.-Japan Council to have such a growing community that you're creating. And I wish I could throw a party of my constituency with so many people for myself, but this kind of it's very reassuring that the U.S.-Japan relationship is even now being strengthened with your efforts. And before I start, I'd like to express my heartfelt appreciation for helping us after the disaster, the rain disaster that we had this July. It was a devastating event or disaster really for our prefecture and for Okayama too. We're swiftly rebuilding the affected land and economy, and of course victims' lives. But we like to appreciate really we're getting great help from Japan and foreign countries too, including the U.S. So thank you very much. And for your question, what we're doing to revitalize our economy, one that we're putting a lot of effort is tourism. Actually, tourism. Tourism in Japan is now catching traction. Now so many foreign tourists are coming to Japan. The number is increasing dramatically, and Hiroshima, Hiroshima, the largest number of foreign tourists are coming from the US, which is unusual. Usually it's China or Korea, but in case of Hiroshima, the US is number one. Number two is Taiwan. Number three is Australia. And altogether, Europe is very big too. So we have a kind of special status, but it's very helpful for you to visit Hiroshima for restoration of our economy after the disaster. So please, maybe after this conference, or maybe next time, I hope you visit and find the beauty of Hiroshima. And other things, what we think is important is the people. People is the key for invigorating the local society and the economy. So what we are trying is to establish system for many talented people that we have to perform to their full potential in Hiroshima. So we start new education systems starting from the kindergarten, nursery level to the university, and this is what we're doing. Putting a lot of investments in education, and also, of course, innovation is a very critical factor too, especially, of course, in the field of business and industry, and further, we're supporting our traditional industry. Hiroshima is a very traditional industrial prefecture, and we are helping those industries transform to Industry 4.0 with digital technology. So these are things, and I'd like to comment further a little bit. First, the education. We're going to open a new public school named Hiroshima Global Academy next spring in April. And this is a public, full boarding school that offers international baccalaureate program with an emphasis on helping students to learn to be global leaders equipped with critical thinking skills and ability to create solutions with people with diverse background. And 1/3 of the students at the high school level, or 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, will be non-Japanese students from foreign countries. And we like, of course, students from the US to be enrolled in this school. And the next one, the entrepreneurial spirit in Hiroshima, I think this is very critical factor for innovation. And this, entrepreneurial spirit has long been inherited in our prefecture, and we have many ingenious and pioneering companies, including global brand companies like Daiso Industry, which made the dollar shop business model first in the world. And of course, they are now expanding their chains all over the world, including the US. Calbee is the #1 snack company in Japan and operates in the US. We have traditions of those, maybe many of you know Anderson, which is a bakery. It's a big brand in Japan. There are some stores in US and Europe too. But so we have many examples of those. And what we need, we're feeling, is to follow those prior stories and to cultivate further the entrepreneurial spirit for the next generation. And so we are putting programs like cultivating 100 innovators to support innovators within companies, within existing companies, to be innovators in their company or spin off from the companies to start up their own business. And other things about innovation, we developing several strategies regarding this. One is through financial institutions. So we created a fund called Hiroshima Innovation Network, Inc. As a growth fund with 10 billion yen growth fund to invest in growing small and medium companies. And also, last year, we opened a digital innovation center to propel model-based development, MBD, which is basically computer simulation-based development, using supercomputer. Hiroshima is very strong in automobile, and you think of developing automobile as making the physical model, right, of like a car or engine. But instead of actually making a physical model, we do them all on computers. We established this center for small and medium companies to have access to supercomputer and be familiar with this model-based development. And another one, what we're doing is promotion of AI and IoT, the new digital technology. And we just this year started Hiroshima Sandbox project, where companies can do tryouts of new solutions in any field like tourism or medical services, manufacturing or agriculture, smart city and others, using AI and IoT platform that we provide, and also funds that we provide. So this is kind of, new trial for IoT and AI and other new technologies. And, we also put a lot of efforts for our small and medium companies to go abroad. And we're doing this with the help of US-Japan Council or Silicon Valley platform. And we have many examples of new matching between companies in Hiroshima and companies in Silicon Valley or in Hawaii. And we also do other areas, other regions, like in Asia too, promoting companies to go in Asia too. So these are things that we're taking on to revitalize our economy. But again, education is going to be really the key to, the people is going to be the source of all the power the prefecture is going to have, whether it's innovation or further education or, social, dealing with the social issues. So, education is really something we think is a key.
Good. Thank you very much. Just a quick question. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
One quick question. At the global school that you're creating, is that what the years are from first grade through high school?
Starts from 7th grade.
Also from 7th
Yes.
grade, I see.
So in Japanese system, it's junior high and high school.
I see.
Yes.
And is the gender split even, 50-50?
Well, basically, we expect that will be 50-50, but it depends on the admission process, I guess.
I see. Okay, very good. Thank you. So next, Governor Ibaragi from Okayama.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you very much. Speaking of childhood dreams, I really wanted to be Ultraman, Ultraman TV program superhero, which is about the same size as Godzilla. Because my mother told me that I can be an Ultraman if I eat vegetable every day. So, I never thought of becoming a governor when I was a child. That's too much. That's too much. The reason I became governor is because my friend became governor in my neighborhood.
Well, if he can go, if he can be a governor, I can be too.
Similar thought. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for making me a governor. Yeah, my name is Ryuta Ibaragi, governor of Okayama Prefecture. I'm deeply honored to meet everyone here today. In the past, I lived in the United States for several years, attended language school for a year, and studied at business school together for 2 years. I also have experience at a U.S. consulting firm, so I have a very close connection with the U.S., and it is a country I hold dear. During my time there, I enjoyed interacting with many people across the country by engaging with their culture and way of thinking. These experiences have left a deep impact on me. In a global environment, it is important that we further invigorate Japan's ties with the U.S., the world's economic center, in order to develop our regional economy. First, allow me to give a brief overview of my hometown prefecture. Okayama, the land of sunshine, has the most sunny days in Japan year-round at 277, and annual temperatures averaging a warm 16.2 degrees Celsius. I would boast that Okayama is a very comfortable place to live. However, the flash floods born from the recent heavy rains this past July took away the precious lives of more than 60 people and left many without a home to return to. Okayama has been putting all its effort towards recovering from this disaster. I would like to express my gratitude to the USJC for the warm assistance towards establishing the Japan Flood Friendship Fund. Thank you very much. I would like to talk to you about two crucial fields connected to energizing the regional economy: education and investment. Education is the area on which I have been focusing the most. I consider nurturing global talents to be a very important goal of education. The rapid pace at which globalization develops directly affects both the regional economy and industries of our country. Nurturing global talents has a high potential of increasing opportunities to bring in growth and efficiency to the industrial and economic future of the region. There are 3 skills necessary for that development. First, communication. For example, linguistic ability, of course. Second, independence and the drive to take on challenges. And lastly, an open mind to understand other cultures. A very effective way of attaining these 3 skills is through studying abroad. Well, I myself have studied abroad in the US. I've learned a lot through engaging with many of my friends from different cultures. Our prefecture has been actively implementing projects such as the Study Abroad Fair in Okayama, which we co-hosted with the US Consulate General in Osaka, Kobe. At this fair, we expanded our sister school relationships with those overseas and provided assistance with fees related to studying abroad. In May 2016, Okayama held the G7 Education Symposium, where representatives from each country visited elementary and junior high schools and observed classes. Each G7 representative adopted the Kurashiki Declaration, following the confirmation that international cooperation and action are necessities for the future generation's education. However, there are also concerns regarding study abroad. There are students and families within the prefecture worried about safety and the value of educational courses available through studying abroad. I believe in order to overcome these fears, becoming proactive and motivated towards studying abroad is a critical step. The US provides a safe environment for studying, one where students can learn the required skills for a global society, such as the English language, communication, and logical thinking. Furthermore, it is a country that is effective at cultivating challenge-ready global talents, a quality I will promote to Okayama's students. That said, finding students to study abroad in the US will be no simple task for us. So, I hope to learn about suitable schools from everyone at the USJC. Another field that we have been concentrating on is increasing foreign investment in Okayama. So allow me to present the merits of investing in our prefecture. There are 3 main merits: low cost, safety, and accessibility. First of all, cost. The price of land is much cheaper in Okayama than Tokyo. It is inexpensive to rent offices, so running costs can be reasonable. Next, safety. Okayama has very few active faults running through the prefecture. Over the last 90 years, there has been no earthquake reaching 6 on the Japanese seismic earthquake measurement scale out of a possible 7. The frequency of earthquakes reaching over 4 within Okayama equates to just under 4% of Tokyo's. The third point, accessibility, relates to transport. Okayama acts as an important transport area for Western Japan. It is about 3 hours away by bullet train from Tokyo and an hour from Osaka. Access to the Western Japan market from Okayama is both easy and efficient. Okayama continues to stand out as a location for large distribution facilities. Amazon, for example, chose Okayama to be the home of its first distribution center in the Chugoku and Shikoku area. There may be some concern with investing in Okayama, as it is not a very well-known prefecture. When compared to other big cities like Tokyo and Osaka, Okayama doesn't immediately stand out. But the idea of that investing in Japan means investing in Tokyo would be a missed opportunity. When Japanese businesses choose to expand into the US market, they do not necessarily need to choose Manhattan. Businesses can find areas suitable for their goals be it San Francisco, Cleveland, or Denver. It is the same for US businesses expanding into the Japanese market. I want more people to know the charms and goodness of Okayama and to consider it a potential area for investment. I would be delighted for everyone from the USJC to become supporters and lift Okayama up as an attractive platform for investment. Finally, I believe further invigorating the ties between Japan and the US will be beneficial for both of our countries' economic development. The role of the USJC carries a great importance to business interactions at the national and regional level. We too, as part of the USJC Governors Circle, would like to pursue active discussions with the Council members and create a meaningful and valuable relationship. I wish for the continued prosperity of everyone here in attendance. Thank you very much for listening.
So both Hiroshima and Okayama is putting an emphasis on education. It's great. Are you doing anything online? Courses with universities abroad, internships, etc. Any online connection?
Well, not on formal school education, but rather, Hiroshima, as you know, has a kind of special history. So we do provide educations on peace, so we create an online course to provide for all the young people in the world to be able to study about peace and nuclear issues using our online classes.
I see. Okay.
I think online education has a great future in our prefecture. To make the classes more efficient in the suburban, in the city area, or it's kind of very critical for local area, the rural areas, to maintain schools. So, there must be various ways to use the potential.
Okay, great. All right, so our third governor and speaker is Governor Kawakatsu of Shizuoka.
Thank you very much indeed, Professor Okimoto. These three gentlemen are Stanford University. I'm not. They were Stanford mafias. But I'm very glad you cooperated me as well. My name is Kawakatsu. It is not a common name, but the easy way to remember, to combine two animals' names, cow and the cats. Kawakatsu. That's me. Anyway, let me introduce my prefecture, Shizuoka. On your table, there is a table that shows world-class resources and peoples. The Mount Fuji is registered as the World Cultural Heritage 5 years ago. And since then, people coming from all over the world to Shizuoka found the resources and peoples in Shizuoka. And since the year of the 2013, when the Fujisan was registered, 5 years and 6 months, that is 66 months, there are 80 world-class resources and peoples in our prefecture. And if you see the other 46 prefectures, there is no such prefectures which has the world-class resources. That is Shizuoka. And Shizuoka is located between Tokyo metropolis and Nagoya or Osaka metropolises, just in between East and West. It's a meeting place. In a sense, it is the center of the East and the West. And our economy, GDP, is about 17 trillion yen. That is equivalent to the GDP of New Zealand. And our population is 3.7 million. New Zealand population is 44 million people. Therefore, per capita income in Shizuoka is higher than New Zealand. So we would like to be independent of Japanese government. We can manage, but anyway. Perhaps everybody knows of the Toyota company. The founder, Sakichi Toyota, was born in Shizuoka. He succeeded in Shizuoka, and he moved the headquarters to the next prefecture, Aichi. Soichiro Honda, Honda's founder, was born in Shizuoka. He moved the headquarters to Tokyo, but Honda's spirit and Toyota's spirit is very alive in Shizuoka. And the Suzuki, very famous for motor company, automobile companies, also active in Shizuoka. And Yamaha, founded in Shizuoka and still headquartered in Shizuoka. Kawai or Photonics, these are all in Shizuoka. So Shizuoka is full of entrepreneurship, innovation spirit. Now we are going to change the industrial structures. We have three distinctive regions. One is eastern side, just underfoot of Mount Fuji. And if you go there, you feel very happy. So we are trying to create the cluster of pharmacy and medicines. And the production, what you call, the value is about 1 trillion yen medical device and medicines. That is highest in Japan. So there is every reason for us to concentrate on this medical and health industries on the side of Mount Fuji. And in the middle, it is facing the Suruga Bay, the most beautiful bay in the world. Bays, clubs registered. Our bays is the most beautiful bay in the world. The deepest bay, 2,500 meters below the sea level. And so there are various kinds of sea possibilities. Biodiversities are inside of the sea. And so we have 439 different foodstuffs, 339 agricultural products, and seafood products, altogether 439. And so food is also a new frontier for us to now concentrate by introducing AI or IoT or others, so-called ROE Park, Agriculture Open Innovation, Practical Applied Research Center. This is the new wave for the industry of food. And the western side, that is near Hamamatsu, and where you can see the most beautiful lake Hamana, where, of course, many industries are there, but now the automobile is trying to change in electrical vehicles, and which is now going on very rapidly. At the same time, have you ever heard of photonics? There is two Nobel Prizes, Professor Koshiba and Professor Kajita. They found the neutrinos, and these are found by the device, by the photonics products, the so-called photo multiplier tube. They were the #1 in the world. So photon, that is optical electrical industries. This is the new types of industries which is now going to expand. And these products is, of course, used by the scientists, but at the same time by the industrialists, such as medicines, medical devices. About 40%, 50% of the Hamamatsu's photonics products are used for medical purposes. So this photon industry, the so-called optical electrical industry, is also the new frontiers. So these three clusters, one is pharmacy, what we call Pharma Valley, and the middle is food science series, and the western side is called photon barriers. These are new frontiers we are now going to produce. Now, concerning the tourism, the last year we have 150 million people coming in and going out in Shizuoka. So that is more than the population of the Japanese populations. And we have the airport. This is called Mount Fuji Airport. A very beautiful airport. Therefore, last year, the Emperor and Empress just happened to come to Shizuoka Prefecture together with the Queen and the King and Queen of Spain. And we thought they would go to home through, from Narita or Haneda. But the King and the Queen said they would like to go back from the Mount Fuji Airport. This is a small airport, but very beautiful, surrounded by Mount Fuji's and Southern Alps and tea shrubs. This tea shrub is registered as FAO's agricultural, agricultural heritage. So these world-class heritages are saying the goodbye to the kings and queens. They are very beautiful. They were very pleased being saying goodbye by the beauty of Japan. And so this is like the garden cities, towns, and the people are very concerned with the health. And of course, you are all concerned with the health. But important is not to live long, to live long with health. And healthy life longevity is the highest in Japan, in the world. But highest among 47 prefectures is, of course, just like Mount Fuji, Shizuoka Prefecture. So, yes. So it's good for sport. For instance, the eastern side, the Russian side, western side, Russian side is full of snows during the winter. Of course, you can make a ski. But here in Shizuoka, people call it like a California in Japan. Always sunshines, even in the winters. So they are enjoying the strawberries and oranges and sporting and dancing and singing. And so, so this is a happy prefecture. And on the way, after you have lunch, you go to Okayama and Hiroshima. But on the way, there is a prefecture called Shizuoka. It takes only 1 hour. But you shouldn't take Nozomi. Nozomi doesn't stop Shizuoka. So you should try, you should take Hikari or Kodamas. Yeah? There are 6 stations: Atami, Mishima, Shinfuji, Shizuoka, Kakegawa, and Hamamatsu. The biggest numbers in the Shinkansen. So whichever the stations, you can enjoy the sceneries and the hospitalities and the different kinds of industries and peoples. And that is the Shizuoka. You are most welcome at any time to Shizuoka Prefecture. Thank you very much indeed.
He just doubled the knowledge of, about Shizuoka.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. A lot of information.
So you have fresh food, seafood, agriculture, tea. So how much of food do you export? Is that an export platform?
Our production is about 2,800 oku yen. That is 280,000 million yen. And the tea and strawberries and particularly melon, these are the main products to export. And mostly all these export is going to Asia rather than Europe and other areas. And now we are trying to expand, but mostly these are consumed in Tokyo areas. Yes.
Okay, so the floor is open for basically 20 minutes. Any questions from the floor? We would ask, this is a great opportunity to ask 3 governors. So let me start with a question. You all have aging and shrinking populations. And so healthcare for the elderly in particular should be a pretty big segment of your economy. And some of you mentioned that you're working, in pharmaceuticals and various other areas, but are you adopting digital technology, AI, for example, for healthcare in your prefectures?
Well, yes. One way of using, digital technology is to contain the or development of severe conditions like
Diabetics.
Diabetics.
Yes.
Yeah, those with the diabetics, if they get severe, you get the kidney problems, and
Yes.
To find those who have potentially, who could potentially develop those kidney problems, you find through the medical receipts. Then we identify them and contact them and to provide medical advices so that they can improve their daily behavior of eating or having exercises to prevent going further serious conditions. Or we're also trying to develop AI system to provide those health advices through AI using your smartphone. These are kind of new technologies that we're trying to adopt in the management of healthcare.
Okay, great.
In my understanding, that there is little room for improvement for prefecture. The national government makes the system and menu, and the city choose which menu to use, and then send us receipt. But what we're trying is that to digitalize the patient's information, including payment information, and to locate any fraud or room for improvements. Right now, it's mostly on paper, and it's very hard to check. So, we are doing everything what we can do in this system.
You see, people become elderly.
I'm sorry?
Aging population is increasing.
Yes.
But you see, in Japan, 65 years old is retiring age on average. And in the prefecture staff, they have to retire 60 years old. That is too young. And this concept of retiring age of 65 is wrong. Who said 65 years old age? That is WHO, 1955. That is more than, nearly 70 years ago. And 1955, in those days, Japanese average life expectancy is about 60s. The lady is about 65, and gentleman is about early 60s. But now, life expectancies, expand, and men and women, both more than 80 years old. And so, we changed the life stages up to 17 years old. That is boys and girls. And after 18 years old to 45 years old, we call the seinen, young men and young girls, young ladies, yes. And 46 to 76 years old is the age when average healthy life longevity age in Japan, in Shizuoka. So that is, you are very, what you call, or fit. So you can work, you can do job. So from 46 years old to 76 years old, you are working age. So please do work if you like. Even if after 65 years old, let me find the job. You can make use of your experience and your technologies you have to the companies or to the people in general. That is first thing. And of course, you have to go to sometimes hospitals. They have to be taken care of by various peoples, and it takes a lot of work. And therefore, we are now trying to develop the robot very much with the intentions. And so that helps the automations of the taking care of the patient. And so to take care of the people who have to be taken care of, we have to develop the technologies. On the other hand, for the healthy people, let's find the jobs for all people. But when we said all people, it's not necessarily confined to the Japanese. We have 85,000 foreigners who live in our prefecture. And we do not discriminate by race, culture, or religions. Everybody is welcome. No discriminations. And particularly children who are born between Japanese or foreigners, there is no discrimination. This multi-ethnical coexistence policies is always our policies over the last 20 years, and I'm intensifying this policy. So foreigners, older peoples, they are all welcome. Although the Japanese government population investigation is done only the Japanese people alone. And if we count Japanese people alone in Shizuoka Prefecture, it is just below 3.7 million people. But every year, the foreign students, foreigners are coming in and settled in Shizuoka Prefecture. That is more than the outflow of the prefecture belonging, just like last year, but 5,000, more than 5,000 foreigners are coming in and happily live and work in Shizuoka Prefecture. We don't discriminate. Yeah, so that is the way we try to revitalize the health and the people's happiness. That is a general policy for the health. Yes, thank you.
So, in the United States, recently it came out that the unemployment rate is 3.7%.
Wow.
It's really historically low. I mean, over the last 30 years, 3.7% is among the lowest. Now, large companies have not been generating jobs. It's the small companies, startups in particular, which are generating jobs. Every year for the past 20 years, startups have generated 2 to 4 million jobs a year. Big companies have been fairly neutral. That is, they create some jobs, but they destroy jobs when they go bankrupt and so forth. So you have an educational system that is producing capable and energetic people. What kind of traction are you getting in creating new startups? Because startups really create jobs. And if you want to keep the young people at home, you have to have jobs.
Well, in terms of jobs, the unemployment rate in Japan is as well historically low at this stage. But the startups can create not only jobs, but dreams or kind of mobility or kind of action.
Yes.
So we're trying to make as many startups, or we're trying to help them to do their jobs. We are not so successful. we're trying to mimic Silicon Valley, but in many ways in vain. Do you have any idea for?
Well, I don't know about the statistics of creating jobs by startups, but I think it's generally the case in Japan too. Again, the rate of new business, opening a new business in Japan is very low. In case of Hiroshima, we target 10%, 10% rate of creating new business. But the actual number is below 5 still. It's growing, and we support startups by various ways, providing, of course, funds, providing advice, helping develop business plans and look for funding, or many support, as well as opportunities for networking. We created an innovation hub where people kind of gather who are interested in entrepreneurship or starting business or working on social issues. People gather there, and we put on events, and so they network. And also, again, like Innovators 100 program, which we encourage those with entrepreneurial mind in large corporation to express their entrepreneurship. But again, still the increasing the number of startups is a challenge that we're facing.
You see, we trying to change the paradigm shift. The big company is better than medium, small-sized companies. This kind of conventional view is wrong, we think. The bigger, the prosperous is not the case. So the small is beautiful. Let's change the paradigm shift. We have 120,000 small and medium companies, and 80% of the companies are consisting of these small and medium companies. And initially, of course, Honda, Toyota, Yamaha, Kawai, Suzuki, everything is just venture industries. Yeah, and so we established the so-called Open Innovation Shizuoka. That's consisting of entrepreneurs and the bankers and prefecture staffs and university peoples, and they're trying to focus particular small companies which can be which can have the possibility to develop. And so to find the people, to find the possible ventures, to find the possible small business which do not have the knowledge to connect their technology to the other things. Particularly in the case of automobiles, they have to lose a lot of jobs because of electronic devices. Therefore, if they can change their technology into the others, for instance, small screws, yeah. It can be used for the bombs, you see, and it was successful now. And so, in order for them to find the new field for their technology to be applied, there is somebody to coordinate. And we have established about 5 years ago this Open Innovation Shizuoka. This is now working very well. And so small and medium-sized people are now, to some extent, not everybody, revitalized. This is now your time. We started from the small. And so even in the 20s, okay, if you do the good job, the finance, we will finance, and these Open Innovation Shizuoka guarantee you for several years, until 34 years old. We called 30 years 25 years to 34, that is 30 years old, we call it. Until 34 years old, error and trials, of course, always failure is usual. But after 35, it is your responsibility. Before then, we can take care of you. So please do some ventures, and we shall guarantee you. This kind of spirit is going on and spreading now in Shizuoka.
So out of the 100,000 plus small and medium companies in Shizuoka, how many are seeking to go global? How many are trying to sell in the global marketplace?
Quite a lot. Of course, the companies who are working at the world is about 450 companies, and they have branches about say altogether 700. But these numbers compared with the 10 years ago, it is increasing. Therefore, now they are trying to work together with Asia, to some extent North America, but mostly I think Southeast Asia and India. These areas, the places where small and medium industries is now finding the possibility for them to work. And of course, to increase the numbers coming from these areas, you are welcome. Even you are Muslims. For instance, Muslims have the halal regulations. Our expanding airport, we have the restaurant which is in harmony with the halal, and we have also playing room. To Allah, you can play for the Allah. So this kind of rooms and restaurants, and we have published all the halal restaurants, about 20,000 restaurants. Among them, they are now trying to find the restaurant which is open to the Muslim people. This kind of spirit is open to. Sorry, I'm too long.
No. Can I make a comment?
Yeah, please.
Well, in local areas, there are so many small and mediums with very strong technology which have not been in foreign markets. We call them sleeping dragons. And for example, in Hiroshima, we have a certain size of cluster of environment-related technology companies. And the size was about $1 billion US, in many companies. But many have not been in the foreign markets. So we started to bring them to Southeast Asian countries and China, which needs the environment technologies. And in 4 or 5 years, they grew from $1 billion US to about 1.2, so 200 million US growth because of this. So there are many chances, and we need to promote them, and we are doing that. And of course, the market opportunities are not only in China or Asia, but I'm sure there are opportunities to partner with U.S. companies, which we're trying to do with the Silicon Valley project. And some of them have made the actual partnerships, business partnership, but there are a lot of chances for Japanese small and mediums in local area.
Absolutely. The quality of technology and the product itself is often superb. But what I found was that the Japanese market is big enough for them to be comfortable in Japan, but it's not big enough in the long run to compete against the big international competition.
Exactly.
They'll be wiped out unless they globalize.
Actually, Okayama Prefecture is doing pretty much everything other prefectures doing, but we are not quite successful. I think the biggest thing is mindset. And that's why I said about studying abroad. We have to try to change the mindset or that's the biggest obstacle, and that's the biggest place, room for improvement. Yeah, I think you're very right.
And then the last question, what about the, you're trying to spin out startups out of the large companies, at least in Hiroshima, maybe Shizuoka and Okayama as well. So let's go to the back of the room and talk about that privately sometime. Our time is up. So thank you so much for an informative session.
Thank you so much.